Scenario 2: Smoke and Mirrors. You follow Dr. Armitage back to his apartment. A veil of black smoke obscures the moon and stars as a warm breeze carries ash and embers through the familiar city streets. I've had my suspicions that something foul was afoot. Several students have disappeared in the last few weeks, the head librarian tells you. All of them began to exhibit strange behaviors after attending a supposedly exclusive meeting off campus not long ago. They complained of horrible, incessant whispers and a strange bruise that suddenly appeared on their skin. And then they vanished. Fearing the worst, you ask him about your friend. They insisted we meet earlier today, he replies. They told me that an organization calling themselves the Brethren of Ash have been inviting students and vulnerable citizens to these strange assemblies. Your friend listed a number of individuals who attended, although it is unclear whether they were prospective recruits or loyal adherents. Before they left, your friend spoke of another meeting tonight, a gathering of all the faithful. I don't know why, but the thought of it fills me with an unutterable dread. And now your friend is gone, he says dourly. You resolve to interrogate the list of suspects and then meet at Velma's Diner in East Town before midnight. The head librarian suggests you use a light touch rather than a more heavy-handed approach, which could alert the cabal. However, you worry you will not have any other choice. Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the Brethren of Ash campaign playthrough on expert difficulty with Daniela Reyes. I have already set up the scenario, and for this scenario we are allowed to start the game with Dr. Henry Armitage already in play. Also, we have suffered a total of 2 physical trauma, so we start the game with 2 damage on Daniela. We have our 5 starting resources. We start the game at the Miskatonic University. It has a shroud value of 2 and comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. We have the quiet campus version of the card in play because we have decided to help the students fight the fire, and the reward we gained by doing so was 1 additional experience point. So in total, we had 8 experience points from scenario 1. And I quickly show which cards we have added here into our deck. So we have 2 copies of the Bodyguard, each 2 costing 2 experience, 2 copies of Counterattack, another 2 experience here, and 2 copies of Scrape By. So in total, we have spent all of our 8 experience points. And in order to bring in these 6 cards into our deck, we had to remove the following, or we decided to remove the following 6 cards. Now you will find the deck list in the video description for more details. And additionally, we start the game with already 2 Doom placed on agenda 1A. 1 has been placed for each investigator in play, and 1 because we decided to, again, help the students fight the fire. Additionally, I have already placed at random 1 unique cultist enemy onto the specified locations. The downtown had 2 copies, 1 has been removed. Same for the uptown. All of it I did by random. Additionally, I have included 2 cultist marker into the chaos bag. And now we are ready to start the game. Alright, we will now draw our starting hand of 5 cards. 2, 4, and 5. Now that is not too bad. With Daniela, we have difficulties discovering clues, and we mainly rely on our event cards. We already have found one. Look what I found. And we also have scrape by, which will help us to discover clues. I like the bodyguard, but Logan may be replaced at the moment. Let's see. Hunter's instinct is nice, so we will go ahead and take a mulligan on these 2 cards, set them aside, and draw 2 more cards from the top of our deck. Now this is our starting hand, and the cards we have set aside will be shuffled back into our deck. We probably will not be able to put each unique cultist enemy into the victory display or underneath the egg deck. We just lack the tools to discover that many clues. We really only rely on our event cards, and we can only use them that many times. And because of that, our objective here is to make sure to find the servant of the flame and defeat him. This way, scenario 3 will be much easier for us. So we focus on hopefully finding the servant of flame, and also if we manage to have 6 experience points at the end of the scenario, then we would have a very great outcome for the final scenario. Before we start with the investigation phase, we will now quickly look at the agenda deck and the egg deck. Agenda 1A, Arkham Alive. An unnatural haze fills the streets of Arkham. Some of the locals say the hills west of Arkham are burning. Despite the cool autumn weather, the city streets feel unnaturally warm as evening falls. Act 1A, Augurs of Flame. You must find the whereabouts of the suspects on your friends list. As we have seen, we have an action on the egg deck that allows us to spend 2 clues to reveal a unique cultist at the location we are at. So we need clues, and let's see, we could immediately investigate at the Miskatonic University and maybe use scrape by to get the clue. Yeah, let's go ahead. For our first action, we will investigate. Now we have Dr. Henry Armitage in play, and as long as he is in play, our willpower and our intellect is increased by +1. Additionally, every first action we take each round does not provoke attacks of opportunities while our lovely doctor is in play. Now we have decided to investigate at the Miskatonic University, relying on scrape by. We have an intellect of 3. The location has a shroud of 2. So at the moment, we have an advantage of +1. All right, let's go with this one, and we have a 0. Wow, that's a very nice beginning. So this, with the 0, we already succeed without having to play scrape by. Very beautiful outcome. Didn't expect this at all. That's wonderful because at the Miskatonic University we have 1 experience point, so we want to leave this location now to make sure that there's no more clues up until the scenario ends. That must have been Dr. Armitage's support at the Miskatonic University to get the clue. Wonderful. All right, then we have 2 more actions available. Having a tool to fight is never a bad idea, so we're gonna go ahead and bring in the meat cleaver. For our second action, we're gonna pay our free resources. And for our final action, we will leave the Miskatonic University. And the question is, where do we want to move? We have the option to move to the Merchant District, to move to the north side, and to Uptown. We will move to Uptown, and every time I take a move action, I will give a small pause and show how the locations are connected so you can follow easier to the move action. Now you should have seen how the connections are located, and we will now resolve our move action to the Uptown. And there's 2 versions of the Uptown. We have found St. Mary's Hospital. This version has a shroud of 2 and comes into play with 2 clues per investigator. It also has an action, heal up to 2 damage from among investigators and or ally assets at this location. This is limit once per game. And this will end our turn. No enemies in play, we continue with the upkeep phase. Have readied all cards, draw a card, nice, and gain a resource. Mythos phase. First, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. And we have found our very first enemy, the Whippoorwill. I guess that's how it's pronounced. So this enemy has the aloof keyword and the hunter keyword. He will follow us up until we defeat him, but he does not automatically engage us, and any or each investigator at its location gets -1 to each skill value. Back to the investigation phase. We have 2 options here, but we will choose look what I found, definitely. So we're gonna investigate. And again, we rely on look what I found. The location has a shroud of 2. Our intellect is reduced by 1 from the enemy, so currently we test 2 to 2. But hopefully we fail, so we can play look what I found. And we have drawn a -1. We were at 2, so we still fail, luckily. This case, the enemy even helped us. If he wouldn't have been in play, we would have exceeded, But with him in play, we fail by 2 or less, and this allows us to play Look What I Found, a 2-cost event, which has the fast keyword, play after you fail a skill test by 2 or less while investigating. Discover 2 clues at your location. So we're gonna pay our 2 resources and get to discover 2 clues. Not sure what we should do next. We have plenty of options at the moment. We can fight the enemy. We can spend our 2 clues to reveal the very first unique cultist enemy. We can take the action on the location to heal 2 damage. At the moment, I'm kind of overwhelmed with the options we have. I could even decide to bring in Hunter's Instinct. Need a minute to think about it. So the enemy is very helpful for us to also trigger scene of the crime later on. We definitely want to keep him in play. If we decide to spend our 2 clues and reveal the first cultist enemy, we may not be able to defeat. If we have to fight, we may not be able to defeat him. Not sure what is underneath, but we definitely lack some resources. But on the other hand, yeah, let's just go ahead. Before we lose our clues, we just spend them. 1, 2. Take the action on act number 1A, and we get to reveal the cultist which is beneath our location. And we have revealed David Ranfield. David also has the aloof keyword, so he also doesn't engage us. And he has the following reaction. After you successfully investigate David's Ramfield's location, you get to read Codex entry number 1. There are no more clues at his location. We can also engage him, but at the moment we will just ignore him. We do not have clues on that location, and we will probably never investigate anyways. So David is really empty for us. We just wasted our 2 clues. For our final action, we could take a move action to south side and play scene of the crime during our first action next turn. We could also slow down a bit, take the action on the location while we have the opportunity. Yeah, let's go ahead and heal the 2 damage first. We take the action on the location. This is once per game. We get to heal up to 2 damage. And our turn. We are not engaged with the enemy, so there's no attacks performed. We continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource, continue with the Mythos phase, place 1 Doom on the agenda, and draw 1 encounter card. Perfect. We have drawn Aerial Pursuit. First of all, this card has the search keyword. We will draw 1 more encounter card, but the revelation effect reads the nearest non-elite enemy moves once toward your location. If it engages an investigator, it makes an immediate attack. Now we get to choose, and we're gonna choose the Whirlpool, and since it actually doesn't matter, both enemies have the aloof keyword, so they do not engage us and do not perform an attack. So we get a free one on this one, but we'll have to draw 1 more encounter card. And here we have drawn Raising Suspicions. Revelation. Place one doom on the nearest enemy with no doom on it. If no doom was placed, this effect gains surge. But we have two options. We're gonna place it onto the whirlpool wheel. And continue with the investigation phase. First, we're gonna move to south side. The uptown is connected to the Miskatonic University and south side. Here we have a location with a shroud of 2. It comes into play with 2 clues. And the following action. We can take 2 actions to draw 3 cards. This is also a group limit once per round. Now this effect can be used once per round. And the whirlpool at the moment ignores us and is still at the uptown. This is another opportunity for look what I found. And we will take the opportunity and investigate for our second action. And we have drawn the skull token, which is at the moment minus X. X is 2 more than the total number of cultist enemies in the victory display or underneath the act deck. So we fail by 1. And take this to our advantage and play Look What I Found to discover 2 clues at our location. For the final action, we're gonna go ahead, maybe just gain a resource. We have already spent a lot of resources. Yeah, let's... I wish we would have emergency cash in hand. We could draw a card. We could also just... Let's just play it safe, gain a resource. End our turn, continue with the enemy phase. Now this enemy moves 1 step into our direction, but still he does not engage us. Upkeep phase, we ready all cards. Draw a card. We have found our signature weakness, in harm's way. Revelation, put in harm's way into play in your threat area. After you deal damage to an enemy, take 1 damage and place 1 damage on in harm's way. If there's 3 or more damage on this card, discard it. And we gain 1 resource. Check our hand size, we are at 4. Mythos phase, we place 1 doom and draw 1 encounter card. Alright, we have found a bad horror. So this enemy engages us. The bad horror has a fight value of 3, 4 health and agility of 4, and the elusive and hunter keyword. If he attacks us, he deals 1 damage and 1 horror. For our first action, we will just attack the bad horror without committing any cards. We use the meat cleaver, which increases our combat by +1. It brings us up to 6. He has a combat value of 3, so we have an advantage of +3. Maybe we should commit jumpsuit just to make sure that we not draw the tablet, which is a -4. If you fail, place one of your clues on your location. We definitely do not want to lose our clues for no reason, so we're gonna go ahead and commit jumpsuit just to cover the tablet. We could also decide to take a horror here to make the attack deal 2 damage. Do we want to risk it? I don't think so, not at the moment. And we have drawn. All right, the autofill marker. The attack fails. There's no other consequences. We just have to trigger the elusive keyword. It triggers regardless of whether the attack was successful or not. And we now get to, so he disengages from us and moves to a connecting location. Here we have 2 options. We can either place him, no, we even have 3 options. We can place him at the merchant district, the uptown, or French Hill, and we're gonna go with the merchant district. Now we even had a -1 from the whirlpool. It's always easy to forget that this enemy is in play and that it reduces all your combat values. So luckily we haven't drawn the tablet. We would still failed. I haven't considered the whirlpool, and I will try to keep it in mind for the future of the game. All right, we have attacked for the first action. We have the option to use the action on the act card. The problem is, if it's an enemy, we only have one action available, and at the moment we should maybe draw cards, take the action on the location here to draw 3 cards. The problem is we do not know what is underneath here. If it's the Servant of Flame, then we would have to fight with what we currently have, and that is not a lot. Also, the enemy is in the play, which is annoying. It reduces our combat by 1. Really not sure what to do here. So 1 aloof enemy is already out. There can only be 2 more, and the others will engage us. But you know what? We take the risk. Let's go ahead, spend 2 clues, and reveal the second cultist. And we have, okay, Naomi O'Banion. Not too bad. She does not have the aloof keyword. However, we can parlay her by spending 1 resource, and luckily we have 1 resource. For a moment, I was afraid we miss a resource. So we have it, all good. Perfect. Let's have a better or a more detailed look onto Naomi. So fight value is 4, health 5, agility 2. She has the retaliate keyword and the following action. Spend 1 resource, and it's interesting. So now I wonder if taking this action on her provokes an attack of opportunity. No, I do not have another example. Usually you have parlay first as an action. Here it's an action, spend 1 resource per investigator, parlay. So I would assume that she is performing an attack of opportunity because the parlay comes after you have taken the action and spent the resource. So this is how I read it, and this is how I'm gonna apply it. Yeah. So we take the action, which provokes an attack of opportunity, I guess. We take a damage and the horror, which we're gonna place onto. At the moment, we can place it onto Daniela. And now we get to parlay. So we'll have to spend a resource, and the parlay action is the codex entry 3, and we're gonna go ahead and read codex entry number 3. Codex 3. Naomi O'Banion. The O'Banion's kingpin is hardly interested in your questions, though she is more than willing to off anything that's giving you trouble for a price. You'll need to grease a few more palms if you plan to get any information out of her. Naomi tosses her head back in a full-throated laugh when you mention the Brethren of Ash. Those cooks? I don't know them, but two of my guys found a pair of them sniffing around one of our gin joints. There's something real strange about them, like they weren't all there. And it wasn't cause of the giggle water. I'll tell you. She takes a long drag of her clove cigarette. You ask whether they were found, and she blows a thick cloud of smoke in your face. Like hell am I gonna tell you about my business. Now get lost. Naomi allows us to discard any non-humanoid enemy, which would be the Battle, so we get to discard him. This worked very well for us. One problem less. And now we get to place her underneath the egg deck, but I will just place her next to the campaign card. Alright, this worked very well actually. And this ends our turn. We continue with the enemy phase. Here we have only 2 aloof enemies. And continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card. And gain a resource. Mythos phase, we're gonna place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. We have drawn Flash Flood. Revelation, attach to your location. The attached location gets +4 Shroud. First, when the round ends, discard Flash Flood. Alright, guess we can ignore this card because we will not investigate at this location, and at the end of the round discard it. We're just gonna place it here. But we already have the clue, so we don't really care about this card. Investigation phase. We have 2 resources. And we have scene of the crime. First action, we will move to French Hill. The French Hill is a location with a shroud of 4, and it comes into play with 2 clues per investigator. We have the following action on that location. Choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Place 1 charge or secret on an asset you control. It's pretty useless for us. We do not have any such cards. We can basically just ignore the action. We have taken our move action, and now we really lack resources. Second action, we're gonna draw a card. Lesson learned. And for our final action, we will gain a resource and our turn. In the enemy phase, this enemy moves to our location. Upkeep phase, we ready all cards and draw a card, gain a resource. Check our hand size. We currently have 2, 4, 6 cards in hand. We will then place one doom on the agenda. We are at 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Draw one encounter card. Another bad Toro. Can't believe it. And we also get to discard Flash Flood. All right. In the investigation phase, we will first play Scene of the Crime. This is a 2-cost event, and it says play only as your first action. Discover 1 clue at your location, 2 clues instead if there is an enemy at that location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. We also have Dr. Henry Armitage in play, but still we pay again 2 resources to discover 2 clues. We could just provoke an attack of opportunity and trigger the keyword by that attack to reveal the third cultist. Yeah, this time we're gonna do this. So we're gonna take the action on the act card, but before we can resolve it, we first get attacked by the bad horror. He deals 1 damage and 1 horror, which we're gonna place onto Daniela. And then we will use Daniela's ability to fight back with the meat cleaver. And now we have only 3 or fewer remaining sanity. And the meat cleaver increases our combat now by +2 instead of +1. So we are at 7 to 3. -1 from this enemy brings us up to 6 to 3. We only have an advantage of +3. I am just worried about losing the clue, but we will take a chance. What are the odds? There's only 1 tablet. And we have drawn a -8. The attack fails, but we don't care too much about it. And the French hill is only connected to south side. Now we get to reveal the third cultist. Hopefully not the Servant of Flame. This would cause a lot of problems now. And we have drawn. Alright, Abigail Foreman. She also has the aloof keyword. Combat 2, Health 4, Agility 4. Action Parley. See, this is different. Here the parley is described as the action itself. So I guess I have played it correctly with Naomi. Thematically, it also makes sense that she will attack you when you try to parley with her. She's a gangster. And here we have test Intellect X, where X is the number of clues on Abigail Foreman's location. If you succeed, place 1 clue from the token pool on Abigail Foreman's location. That again is not ideal. We want to We do not want to have any clues on that location. But we have lesson learned to clear out the clues on that location again. Maybe we just parlay Abigail for our final action. The test has a difficulty of 0 as we have no clues on that location, and we can only fail if we draw the autofail marker. And this time we have a 0. Wonderful. What? Yeah, we succeed anyways. Okay. Nothing to worry about. Now we get to look at Codex entry number 5. Codex 5. Abigail Foreman. The junior librarian waves your questions away as she pulls several more tomes off the shelf. The only way to pull her away from her work might be to help her find whatever she is looking for. Abigail slumps back in a lavish armchair with a sigh. Yes, I have been looking for any information on the Brethren of Ash since my roommate went missing last week. Thankfully, I found this. She opens up a thin volume with a delicate inlay of a birch tree with flowering eyes on the cover. Inside are many disturbing drawings of violent sacrifice, victims burned alive, and strange inhuman symbols arrayed in odd patterns. Rather macabre, don't you think? Says Abigail. It appears to be written in Akkadian. Unfortunately, it will take weeks to translate with the entire ancient language department away on an expedition. Egypt this time. I'm sorry I couldn't be more help, she says, pressing her hand to the book cover. Her codex entry allows us to draw a card, and we're gonna place her next or on top of Naomi. We get to draw a card. We have found a scene of the crime, but we also have to place one clue at that location. This ends our turn. In the enemy phase, nothing happens. This enemy is exhausted, the other one is aloof. We continue with the upkeep phase, ready all cards. We still haven't found the Servant of Flame. We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 Doom. Ready all cards. Draw a card and gain a resource. 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. We will now continue with the Mythos phase. Place one Doom and draw one encounter card. Arcane Lock. Alright, this will be attached to our location. As an additional cost to enter or leave attached location, you must spend one action. We could either wait for the upcoming enemy phase, get attacked by the Bat Horror and play Lesson Learned to get the clue, the last clue on that location. Alternatively, maybe it's a... So we are at 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 Doom. If we do not defeat the Whippoorwill, we will advance next round. We could engage and fight him, which will cost us 2 action. And we would only gain 1 action by doing that for this round. It almost is the same as if we not decide to defeat him. It doesn't really change the outcome, but it depends on what we trying to do here. We really lack resources. I wish we would have drawn emergency cash by now. In order to leave this location, we would have to take 2 actions. We could also just grab the clue with scrape by, take 2 actions, move to south side, get attacked one more time. It is what it is. And at least we would be one step closer. We would have 2 clues again to discover one of these locations, to find the Servant of Flame. At the moment, it seems to be the best decision. So we're gonna go ahead and investigate. It's a very powerful card that could also be used to fight the Servant of Flame. But do we want to waste one more turn here? Then next turn we have to spend 2 actions to leave that location. It really hinders us from making any progress. So let's just go ahead and take an investigation action. Or do we... Alternatively, we could also just bring in the bodyguard. Can soak up some horror, some damage. Then next turn we can play lesson learned. Play the bodyguard and gain resources. Question mark. The time is running out. And we do not have Daniela's wrench to make this enemy fight us. We could also engage it and provoke an attack of opportunity. This way we save at least 1 action. Now this sounds like a plan. So instead of investigating... What if we take a resource? No, that wouldn't work. We could also just... gain a resource. Engage the enemy into combat. Third action, we're gonna try to bring in the bodyguard. He is now waiting. Here, an attack of opportunity is performed. We take a horror. And we get to fight back with Daniela's ability. We're gonna use the meat cleaver. To have +2, we would be at 7, -1 here. 6, we have an advantage of +4. And after we get attacked, we first gonna play Lesson Learned. This is a 1-cost event, has the fast keyword. Play after an enemy attacks you, discover 1 clue at your location. So he attacked us, we took the horror, we discovered the clue. We now fight back. Hopefully successful. And we have drawn Cultist Marker, which is a -3. If this is a test targeting an elite enemy, reveal another token. It is not, so with a -3 we succeed by 1, deal 1 damage and defeat him. And then we can bring in the bodyguard after paying 3 resources. But seems like I have not paid the resource for Lesson Learned. We had only 4 resources. Now this should now be correct. And now Harm's Way is triggered. We have defeated an enemy. We place 1 damage here. and 1 damage onto ourselves. Enemy phase, the bad horror engages us, attacks us. We're gonna place the damage and the horror onto our bodyguard. Now keep in mind, Dr. Henry Armitage does not take up an ally slot during the scenario, so it is legitimate to have 2 allies in play. And also his keyword is triggered now, and this time we're gonna place him onto the French hill. Does it matter? No, we can't. He just moved to our location. He has to move back to south side. Then we continue with the upkeep phase, ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Mythos phase, we should be at 9. 3, 6, 9. Alright. Draw 1 encounter card. Another arcane lock. Wonderful. It is only limit 1 per location, so we just get to discard the card. Perfect timing. Oh, that helped a lot. Perfect. Now, in order to leave this location, we'll have to take 2 actions, unfortunately. This makes the bad horror engage us again. We can only move to south side from French Hill. Now from south side, we can move to Uptown. We can move back to French Hill or to the Merchant District. This Merchant District sounds good. It's a location we haven't been before. But if we decide to do so, he will attack 1 more time. That's... Oh, wait a second. After we defeated the Whirlpool with the meat cleaver, we get to heal a horror. This is very critical. We have to definitely make sure that we don't miss this opportunity. I forgot it in the rush, but we definitely get to heal a horror after defeating an enemy with the meat cleaver. We're gonna take the move action, and before we can resolve it 1 more time, he performs an attack of opportunity. We're gonna place the damage and the horror onto Dr. Henry Armitage, and we then use Daniela's ability to fight back. Is there a possibility of losing our clue? We are at 7 to 3. No. We have drawn a -2. Wonderful. So first successful attack, we deal 1 damage. This time we're gonna place him onto the French Hill. Unfortunately, we also take a damage from our signature weakness, which we could also place onto the bodyguard. Doesn't make too much of a difference. And yeah, we have decided to move to the Merchant District. Here we have a location with a shroud of 3 and comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. We also have a free move action once per round if we play with 1 or 2 investigators. And we can still use this action before we end our turn. And we may do so by moving to... Where do we want to move? Now the Merchant District is connected to Waterfront District. Also, it is connected to East Town, South Side, Not sure. If only I knew where the Servant of Flame is. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Should we go here? Or should we go to Easttown first? But here we already have one more. Alright, let's take the free move action to the waterfront district. I'm not sure. It's a free move action. We can also move here. But the problem here, we cannot spend the two clues next turn. Here we have the opportunity. But next turn, we also get to draw a weakness card. So probably we're not gonna do much anyways. So I hope it's the right decision. We go to East Town with the free move action from the Merchant District. The East Town has a shroud of 2 and comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. After you discover the last clue on this location, search your deck for an ally asset, play it, paying its cost. And this will now end our turn. We will continue with the upkeep phase. The enemy was exhausted. We now ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Yeah, Mythos phase. Now we advance. We place our 10th Doom and we have 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. Let's read the back of the agenda card. Agenda 1B, Growing Flames. An itch you have done your best to ignore becomes unbearable. Pulling back your sleeve reveals a patch of peeling gray skin. Gingerly, you scratch the dead skin to reveal a smooth scar, almost as though you were branded. The scar resembles a hand with an unblinking eye inset into it. Touching it gives you a warm, heady feeling, like being drunk. Agenda 2A, Emergent Evils. Steam rises off of the wet pavement, as though the ground beneath it were actually burning. So we were instructed to bring in 1 copy of Mark of Elos, and the second agenda 2A advances when 8 Doom is placed on it, so we have 8 more turns to find the Servant of Flame. I really hope we find him. And yeah, we still have to draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn... not good. Test. So this is Red Herring Revelation. Test your intellect with a difficulty of 2. This test gets +2 difficulty if you control 2 or more clues. If you fail, take a horror and place 1 of your clues on your location. Now it has a difficulty of 4. We have Scrape By, which we could play to make it succeed in order to not lose the clue. But let's first of all see what's going to happen. So at the moment we have an intellect of 3. We can succeed if we magically draw our Elder Sign. Now it's time to shine Daniela. Let's go. Now we have drawn a -8. Very unfortunate. So we fail. We could now play Scrape By to make it succeed instead. This way we save 1 horror and make sure we do not lose our clues. Yeah, I think it makes sense. So we're gonna go ahead and play Scrape By. This is our level 1 cost event. that we included into our deck. Fast, play when you would fail a skill test during which a non-auto-fail token was revealed. You succeed at that skill test instead. If a token with a symbol was revealed during that skill test, take 1 horror. It's not a token with a symbol, so we do not take a horror. Or do we just, but we lose the clue and we really need the clues. We have, of course we could, but it doesn't really change. We could also use the card to discover a clue. So let's keep it that way. Not sure if we have paid the resource, but now we definitely did. And in this turn, we just first take 2 actions to discard Mark of Elos. This card reads, when your turn ends, take 1 damage, assign that damage to an asset you control if able. We can take 2 actions to discard it. And for our final action, we're gonna move to downtown. Yes. Downtown has a shroud of 4 and comes into play with 2 clues per investigator. Reaction: after you discover 1 or more clue at this location, heal 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset you control. Enemy phase: the bad horror is gonna move 1 step into our direction, so he reaches south side. We will then continue with the upkeep phase and ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. We really lack resources, man. Alright, we took the resource, we check our hand size 2, 4, 6, 7. We're gonna place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. Aerial Pursuit. The nearest non-elite enemy moves once towards your location. So it is the bad horror. And it's gonna move to, so which location would be the nearest? In order to reach us, he first has to get to East Town or to North Side. He can be placed to the Merchant District. And this card also has the search keyword. And we draw another red herring. Can't believe it. Oh my god. Bad news. It was so hard to try to avoid this happening. Can we make this a success somehow? We could commit unexpected courage, but that's not good at all. What can we do about it? Maybe just commit unexpected courage and hope for the best. Yeah, let's try our best. This way we have at least an advantage of +1. +1 only. That's kind of wasted. We have to hope for the Elder Sign. But at the same time, if we draw a -1, okay, let's go ahead and commit it. Who knows? We need a bit of luck now. And we have drawn. A -2. Did we fail? Please not. We were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still fail, man. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. 4. We are at 2, 3, 4, 5. No, doesn't quite make it. All right. Oh my God. That's very bad. What a timing. I was about to reveal that card. Now we have to wait for the bad horror to attack us or for an enemy to play scene of the crime. All right, then let's just take the opportunity and draw some cards, gain some resources. Draw a card first. Perfect. And play the emergency cash for our second action to gain free resources. And now we're going to play Hunter's Instinct so we can recycle our event cards in the discard pile. For our final action, we will bring in Hunter's Instinct, pay 2 resources. This card comes into play with 3 supplies. And whenever an enemy engages us, we can spend 1 supply and exhaust the card to bring back 1 level 0 event from our discard pile to our hand. And our turn, enemy phase, the bad horror is going to move to East Town. Yes. Then we will continue with the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource. Mythos phase, we're going to place 1 Doom and draw 1 encounter card. Alright, we have found another annoying enemy, at least this one does not engages us. And in the investigation phase, we will use the opportunity, play scene of the crime. We now have an enemy at our location, and this card can only be played as our first action. We pay 2 resources, and also, wait a second, no, we are not engaged. So Hunter's Instinct cannot be triggered, but still we pay 2 resources, get those 2 clues here. Because we have counter attack in hand, I'm gonna risk and reveal this cultist number 4 by spending 2 clues for our second action. So let's see. Is it the Servant of Flame? One, two, three. And it is indeed. All right. Now we have a big problem. Okay, we have the bodyguard helps to deal 2 damage. We only have to deal 2 damage with the meat cleaver and defeat the Servant of Flame. At least we have found him. I'm very lucky, and now we'll have to do everything we can to defeat him, and then we should have already reached one of our objectives. The second would be to have 6 experience. Here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we take this clue, we would have 6, and we could just end the game here. But let's focus on our nemesis. All right, Mr. Servant of Flame, we're gonna fight you. We have the meat cleaver. We have only 2 or less sanity, so this attack, this weapon increases our combat by 2, but we also have this annoying enemy which reduces our combat by 1. So we are at 6 to 4. We have an advantage of +2 at the moment. And now we also get to use Hunter's Instinct. We have just engaged an enemy, spent 1 supply, and we get to choose 1 event from our discard pile. It can only be level 0, so this is not legitimate. In this case, we do not need more cards to discover clues. So maybe, I don't know, maybe lesson learned just because it can be committed to the fight action. Emergency cash is also kind of late at this moment. And we have counterattack for next turn. So we really only need to make this attack succeed. We can let the bodyguard die, deal 2 damage here, and finish him off during the enemy phase with counterattack. Now we have an advantage of +2 already. We can go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dump or a complete hand. But we need 1 copy from lesson learned. If we keep 1, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we wouldn't cover the -8, but we're gonna take the chance. The odds are for us. Meat cleaver. 7 minus 1, we are 6. +2, +4, 5, 6. And keep those cards in hand. That should do it. We have everything covered except for the -8 and the auto-fail token. Let's take a good shuffle here. Okay, that should do it. This one. We have drawn. We have drawn. A -1. Wonderful. Very great. Oh. I forgot one thing. So in order to make the attack deal 2 damage, we would have also have to take a horror, obviously. Otherwise, we couldn't defeat him this turn. So we definitely missed the opportunity here and take the horror. It's not a direct horror. We're going to place it onto... Wow. But we will end the game soon. So let's place it on to Dr. Henry Armitage to make the attack deal 2 damage. Otherwise, our plan wouldn't go off with bodyguard and counterattack. We put the final point of damage onto our signature weakness and onto Dr. Henry Armitage. At this point, this card in harm's way. So we get rid of our signature weakness. That's also very good. And we soon want to end this game because there is a possibility of dying, and when we have met our main objectives, we should definitely leave. Now we have taken our investigation turn. We continue with the enemy phase. So first, each hunter enemy moves 1 step into our location, into our direction. Now we get to choose the order of attacks. We decide we go first with the bad horror. Damage and the horror we're going to place onto the bodyguard. And this defeats him. And we can use his reaction. When the bodyguard is defeated, deal 2 damage to an enemy at your location. Additionally, we get to play Lesson Learned. Fast, play after an enemy attacks you. Discover 1 clue at your location. So we pay 1 resource to get the final clue here. Then we use the reaction from the bodyguard to deal 2 damage to the Servant of Flame. So he is at 4 out of 5. Then we trigger the elusive keyword and place him back to East Town. And finally, the Servant of Flame performs his attack. However, we're going to play counterattack. It's another 1 cost event, and the one we have just purchased. Fast. Play when an enemy attacks an investigator at your location. cancel the attack, deal 1 damage to that enemy. So I just realized that we also have the opportunity to fight back with Daniela. Now this is a reaction, it's not forced. We can also decide to not do so. And it's smarter at the moment to not do so, because there's a chance of losing our clue by the tablet. And instead we just cancel the attack from the Servant of Flame with this counter attack, paying 1 resource and dealing 1 more damage onto him, which is enough to defeat him. And yeah, he also has a codex entry. It does not have a number, but it has a symbol, and we will now have a quick look at the codex entry. Codex, Servant of Flame. Your nemesis lies incapacitated at your feet. The flame that cloaked them has died out, though their robes are miraculously unsinged. Any attempts to remove their mask are fruitless. You will need to wait for them to regain consciousness if you want to discover who they are. You wonder how many victims their blood-spattered sickle has claimed. Perhaps it would be better to finish them off here and now, to avoid future bloodshed. No one else has to know. For the Servant of Flame, we have 2 options. We can either decide to place him into the victory display, meaning that we kill the Servant of Flame, or we have mercy with him. And if we decide to kill him, we get to draw 3 cards. If we do not kill him, then we gain 1 clue, but we will decide to place him into the victory display, so he is defeated forever, and we get to draw 3 cards. 2 and 3. This would also end the enemy phase. We have resolved every attack from the enemies in play, and we will continue with the upkeep phase. We also have cleared out the clues on this location. So upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource, check our hand size, 2, 4, 5. We now continue with the Mythos phase, place 1 Doom on the agenda, draw 1 encounter card. We have drawn Crossfire, no problem. So here we have to perform an agility test with a difficulty of 3. If we fail, we take 1 damage. And we have drawn a -1. So we fail, we'll have to take a damage. But that's fine, we have plenty of health remaining. Now in the investigation phase, there's actually no more reason to continue playing. So we have cleared out the French Hill, 1 victory point here, 1 from the Miskatonic University, and 1 more from downtown. So we would have 3 victory from the location and 3 more from the enemies. Yeah, it really doesn't make sense to continue playing at this moment. Sure, we could. But there's a possibility of losing. There's a specific encounter card that deals 2 horror. And we have 1 more bodyguard in the deck, which could provide us a little bit more time. But the question is, so here we have an aloof. Here the other enemies, we have 1 more aloof enemy and 1 more yeah. Not sure about it. So this connection, the downtown, is connected to north side. We could move to north side, see what happens. Spend two more clues. So which other cultist enemies are underneath? We have some, actually the strongest are underneath. It is either the sergeant or the Caneli. Both will engage and try to fight us. And the other one is where you have to succeed by two or more. Yeah, we keep it short. You know, we have a very good result, and we will just take the resign action on Agenda 2A, Emergent Evils. I don't see a reason to continue to play. Sure, we could try to clear out every cultist, but there's no way we can get David Ranchfield into the victory display. We would have to fight him. And for some reason, this guy has a health value of 5. He looks more like a guy who has a health value of 1. Very interesting design. His combat is low, but he can... seems like a guy that can't be beaten down. And you have to successfully investigate. We can still investigate at this location without... even when the location has no clues on it. But we are at 3, we only have an advantage of 1, and this is not something we can achieve at the moment. We don't have the time and the resources, so I would say we have a very good outcome. We already have the Servant of Flame in the victory display pile, so he will no more appear in scenario 3, and we have the required or the wished 6 experience points. So we just end it here. We take the resign action and look at the back of Agenda 2A. On the cab ride to Welmer's Diner, you consider all that you have learned. Unfortunately, your search turned up plenty of leads, but few solid results. You can only hope Dr. Armitage fared better. So this was scenario 2, Smoke and Mirrors, for the Brethren of Ash campaign on expert difficulty. I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. We have already went through the victory points we have achieved during this playthrough. In total it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And we have the Servant of Flame defeated. The others are considered underneath the egg deck. So a pretty good outcome for us. And I hope you enjoy the playthrough. See you next time and bye bye.